All right, welcome. This is Heather Christie from Moonbabe Collective. And today we have Alexandra Alden. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And can you please share your DJ
Yeah,
name
thank
with
you for
us to
having me.
start?
My DJ name is Electric Indigo.
All right, Miss Electric Indigo is here from, is it Port Townsend, Washington?
Yeah, but I'm based more in Portland, near Portland.
Portland. Beautiful. So from Portland, Oregon, Electric Indigo. And let's just dive right in. What was, let's see, what was the moment that you felt the inspiration to become a DJ?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really something that I had clocked on my radar. Like, since I was a little kid, I was obsessed with music. I had this, the little plastic recorder thing, and I used to sit by the radio and record my favorite songs. And then when I got older, I started making the mixed CDs, and I was always the person at the party that was like, the music's not exactly right. Like, let me just adjust that, And people would always come to me for music recommendations, but I wasn't really thinking to become a DJ. And then I was living in Barcelona, and some friends of mine started asking me to come DJ at their social innovation school. And I was like, I don't know how to DJ. They're like, just come, just bring your phone. And I was like, okay. And so I came the first time I did it, and they're like, that was great, come back again. And so I came the second time I did it, and then they were like, come back again. And when it was the third time, I was like, maybe I should start to learn to DJ. And so I started taking lessons and, was enjoying it. And then COVID happened. And so I basically spent 3 months alone in my apartment in Barcelona, DJing to the empty streets and like putting together my first mixes. Um, and then I moved to Costa Rica, and I was like, well, a shanty spiritual girl doesn't DJ like bass music. And so I was like, I'll just put this away and I'm just gonna sing kirtan and be that person, And then that worked for like a year and a half. And then it just crept its way back in, as
Mm-hmm.
anything that like is part of our path, right? And so all of a sudden I was like DJing people's house parties, and then I was DJing other parties, and then people were like, "Hey, you want to come over here?" And I kept being like, "This is just a cute little hobby, like r real life isn't things I enjoy."
Mm-hmm.
And then finally it had such a impulse of its own, and I loved it so much that finally I was like, I want to lean into this more, like it's the one thing that's steadily been drawing me forward. And so I did. And now I'm, doing it more intentionally, doing it more professionally. I also just started producing music. I put out my first remix like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So it's like the never-ending journey of music.
I love that. There's so many gems in there. I love how you just allowed yourself to listen to your calling as it came back through for you, and also allowed yourself to fully feel into what does it actually look like if I allow my path to be what is fun for me and what I'm actually called to do. So that's beautiful and so inspiring. What does it look like for you at this time to be a female DJ in the world? What's the landscape of the music industry in terms of how you experience it? And how do you feel like your work is maybe helping to create an industry that you would like to experience or would like to see?
Yeah. That's a good question. Well, I think it's interesting to be a woman also at 40 years old because it's a
100%.
different landscape than a woman at like how I would have experienced this at 25. And I think I actually am giving a lot of gratitude for that. When I first started on this path, I was like, I'm too old. But then I started to remember, like, I was in my 20s in the music industry. I wasn't making music, but I was around it. And I didn't have good boundaries. And I didn't have good self-care. And I was doing and if I had like become a DJ and blown up around that time, like I probably would have ended up in some sort of rehab. And so I feel that coming into this now at this age of life. And I see also a lot of women doing this. I think we're the first generation where one, there's so many women who like haven't had children, and even the women who did have children, like either waited till later in life or like still are pursuing their dreams. And so we have all these like empowered, boundaried, badass women
Hmm. Hmm.
stepping into the music industry. And I think that's not just like inconsequential. I think that's also part of this feminine recalibration. And for me, it was really epitomized like New Year's Eve, I played at this event, and it kind of for me was this like the toxic version of the music scene, right? Where
Hmm.
there's a lot of people doing drugs, girls in little tiny outfits dancing, but no one else dancing and just watching them. And there's this moment, and I had played like a day or two before, and I went out, onto like the chill area, and this woman came up to me and she's like, I loved your set so much because we need more like feminine energy coming at us. And I just had sometimes I have these like zoom out like downloads where it's like, when women aren't actually on the decks, we're being like really pummeled by this like masculine energy. And not to say like there's so many male DJs that I love and I get down to. But there is something like we're exuding our energy through our music, right? And so, like, when there's women exuding their energy too, like, one, other women get to feel activated by that.
Hmm.
And it's really funny because, like, a lot of my dance floors, people have commented that, like, there's more women than anyone on the dance floor. It's like, yeah, because they're activated by feeling like another woman in their power. And they're like, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but then the other thing that came through for me in that same night was like, if you're gonna do this, you can't do this in the old way. Like you have to forge a new feminine path because this won't work. The old way won't work for your body.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
and I know that to be true, right? So it's interesting navigating the music industry because I do feel like almost with everything in the world right now, we're in this phase where we've evolved past how it was,
Hmm.
and there's not really the structures to meet us of how it could be. And so part of it is also being influential in having conversations like this, like talking about how we want it to be and helping design that versus just like waiting for it.
Yeah. Woo. Well said, well spoken. I deeply relate, and I know a lot of other people do, women, but not just women, and I think there's actually a whole level of even like more successful artists or whatever operating within the music industry that are operating at this unhealthy pace or unhealthy level, touring, just like degrading their health, that, it's like not truly deeply working, but yet it still is on the surface. And so that's something that I've really, really paid attention to as well over the past 14 years or so in my music career, being, having similar thoughts to you of, oh, the music industry, either doesn't accept me, maybe because I am a woman and I am reaching that older sphere of where traditional industry would say, well, your career is over now, right? And so having to come up against that while feeling like, well, I finally know myself enough actually to like have a sustainable career. So that can't be right, right? And I think it kind of goes into the bigger conversation of a lot of different industries right now, looking at ways in which the systems that have been in place are no longer working for many of us. So what do you feel are some ways in which you would like to see a shift in, say, the systems of the music industry or what is already in place that you can just envision and feel happening, but aren't quite, in the 3D reality yet?
Well, I think there's like you see it happening with there's a lack of venues right now, in my opinion, to
Mm-hmm.
play at if you're trying to play on the more conscious end of the spectrum. Like you can go and play like the nightclubs or
Yeah.
the the evening stuff. But like for me in particular, like I don't want to be around people doing a lot of drugs and drinking a lot of alcohol. And so there's the ecstatic dance circuit, which is like a lot of where a lot of people have defaulted. But ecstatic dance is actually a dance, it's more of a dance space. Like that's what it traditionally was. There's a lot of like these like ecstatic dance 2.0 that are adapting. So there, like there's not really a good circuit yet for people to be on tour. And then everything else with the, I mean, I'm just getting into production, so I can't really say about how music is distributed and like AI and all that. But I do feel one thing is like, I just don't worry about any of that that much because
Mhm.
if like, here's how I see the universe, because I could be like, there's no way I could do this because look at all these factors, look at the economy, look at that, look at that. But how it works is like, if you're meant to do something, you're going to do it as long as you show up
Mm,
for the daily practice of devotion, you know? And so
mm,
I just show up and I release the outcome and I trust higher power. Wherever I'm supposed to end up is going to be perfect. And even if it's not music, I'm going to be stoked because it's where I'm supposed to be, you know? So it's like just enjoying the ride, and doing the next right thing.
I love that. But I'm like such a mom. That reminds me of in Frozen 2, the movie. The main character Anna thinks her sister and her like snowman friend are dead, and so she has this whole like song about like just doing the next right thing, even though she doesn't know, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. So I think it's beautiful because it is this like archetypal journey of the artist and of the warrior soul is like having these blinders on almost, and having the experience of I don't see the full picture. There's no way that I can see what's going to happen. All I can tell is like what foot do I want to put in front of me? And I think that is absolutely a huge part of I mean, probably the human experience, to be honest, but definitely part of the music artist experience, that I like to call it indie musicpreneur experience, because it's like you're basically on a path of bushwhacking because has nobody has done it like you're going to do it. And even if other people kind of show you options and routes, and it's great to have like artists or DJs that we admire and look up to, but still your path is not going to look like her path or his path or anyone else's, right? So there's this element of having to be willing to step out on a limb that is may or may not work out or is very mysterious or like has no clear end game or end goal, that I think is very, can be tumultuous to the human soul, but also is that level of the deepest calling that I think can be challenging and scary for some people to actually fully say yes to and step into, especially because we are creatures of habit where, we want safety, we want security, we want foundation. And especially when it's like you have a musical calling or a calling for so long that you haven't acted on yet, it can just feel like, okay, when am I going to pick up the phone? Am I meant to do these things or am I meant to just watch from the sidelines? I'm wondering if you have any words for people, especially let's just focus in on women who do feel a call to express themselves musically or to learn how to DJ, but who just don't feel like their landscape is, fully open or fully in permission of that yet. Is there anything that you could say to someone like that who's just like not sure how to pick up the call or answer that call of their soul quite yet, but just like feels it really strongly?
Well, I think the whole concept of ever being fully ready for anything or ever having full permission for anything is just not true. I mean, I like personally, this has been the most difficult year of my life because in January, my brother passed away like suddenly while I had been booking a tour. Like literally the end of December was when I decided I was gonna like send it with the DJing. And I was like, this is my expansive era, like I'm going into Firehorse, I'm ready, it's going to be great. And then like the most difficult thing in my life happened. So, and I didn't go for the full tour because I had to listen to my body, which I think is also important, right? Like I wasn't going to be by myself traveling for 6 months on little money and put myself under that much stress when I was already under stress. But I did go th for the partial tour. And I did it because when my brother died, it just reminded me, it's like, I've been saying this, it's like you think you're too old to go for your dreams, but you're too old not to. It's like you don't know how much
I love
time
that.
you have. And it's and the way that the universe lays it out for us is like you have this opportunity, but then you're going to get tested to see if you're really going to show up for it. And like I was fully tested. Like I almost didn't come. I missed my first flight to the United States because I was like, I can't do this.
Mm,
Like this is not
wow.
like it's
Wow.
too much right now. But my soul was like, get on the plane,
Ooh,
And
ooh.
so I rebooked it and went the next day. And so it's just like it's never easy. And the people that don't do it are the people that are waiting for this like perfect moment. You just kind of have to blindly trust.
Mm,
And I'm doing that all the time. Like this is not figured out, but I just like keep doing what my soul feels
mm,
called for, and that feels like the right thing.
mm. Beautiful. Way to put it simply, and just, yeah, break it down. You think you're too old to follow your dreams, but you're too old not to. I love it. That's beautiful. Yeah. And it truly is never easy, but it's always worth it, right? So let's talk a little bit about your actual set, for those listening who are maybe already in DJing a little bit or like curious about, the process of how DJs actually set up their work. Can you talk a little bit about like what genres inspire you? Maybe like what mixtures of genres? How do you go about sourcing those like perfect tracks that feel just right in your body to play? And how do you go about like setting up an intention or like a set list for a specific show?
Yeah. I mean, with everything for me, it's like a mix of like magic and and like logistics. Um, Usually what I like to do is like I'll meditate and tune into the energy of the space beforehand.
Mm,
So even if I haven't been there, I mean, like I believe that it's very easy to connect with these different fields. So I'll connect with the field of like, okay, this is this event, this is like the type of energy I imagine people are going to come with, etc. And also do the logistics of like asking, the organizer or whatever, like what's your community like? Um, and then it's kind of like the contact dance of music, right? Like I need to come in with my unique essence, and
mhm,
then I need to be able to weave that with the essence of the people there. And I
mhm.
think that is like really important, that attunement, right? Because I don't want to come in and like just pummel people with
Right,
what I like,
right.
and then they're like, So it's like, but I also like many different things. So it's really just tuning into like what is the field. For me, track finding is I do it like I usually start like a week before I'm even trying to like organize it. And I do it very like in a fun way. Like I do it when I'm driving. I'll just start
Nice.
like, I'll put in like different artists and put on the radio of that artist. And I usually actually make a Spotify
Mhm,
playlist
mhm,
first, just start compiling things in one place. Then I'm like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then it gets more intense before I, go into it, and I'll scour like SoundCloud, and it's really just like my ear knows what it likes,
mm,
and it knows what it doesn't like. Like ratchet, too ratchet dubstep, it's like no, like it's scratching, I know what I like. And then it's always a journey too. And I really try to be really intentional, like as I'm creating the set, to hold it as a ceremony. Like obviously in ecstatic dance, it's kind of already held like that. But even when I'm not in ecstatic dance, and it's like weaving, usually there's like an opening invocation song and some sort of closing invocation song. Even if they're not verbal, like that's how that they sound, right?
mhm,
So that I'm setting the container, and then I'm taking people on like a full journey through it. And my name Electric Indigo came through because for me it's really about the light and the dark are the
mhm,
same thing.
mhm,
They're equally important. And so embracing the full spectrum of ourselves. And so My sets really are full spectrum experiences. Like I like to say, like you're gonna get down on like each of the seven chakras,
Mhm.
and you're gonna get down too. Like they're sweaty. People are like, oh, I use this for workout music. I'm like, exactly.
Yes.
But they're also sexy, and I think like all of us, like anyone who becomes a DJ is going to you need to learn your essence,
Mm.
and then you're tuning that and you're exuding that. So like for me, I'm basically weaving my entire life experience. You know, it's like there's songs that are like remixes from the 90s. There's
Yes.
songs that are like dark and sexy and kind of like kinky. There's like a lot of world music because I've literally traveled all over the world, you know, so it's all of it together. And I think for me as well, I could talk about this for a long time, so I'll just close with this. But I spent 4 years in Costa Rica and was really in the like kind of like spiritual scene. And what I found there was there's just a lot of like whitewashing of the full spectrum of experience, where
Mm.
like let's idealize these cultures, these indigenous cultures, as like they are the ones that know. Let's only focus on the love and light, and let's be ashamed of the way that we grew up and our
Mm.
past and all that. And for me, I went through that for a couple of years. That's when I didn't DJ. And
Mm.
then I realized like, no, like we literally are the remix generation, and we're being asked to like take the best of
Ooh.
all of it. So I love hip hop. Like I'll throw like gangster rap into my sets because it's a provocation of this too is sacred because it
Mm.
exists.
Mm.
So
Mm.
how can we dance with it?
Yes. F yes. I love this. I love this. It's like not only breaking genre boundaries and like not limiting yourself to a certain number of genres or particular genres that you think are acceptable or cool or like fit or whatever, but it's like actually creating this huge cauldron, like sonic cauldron of everything that through your lens of your life experience you're able to metabolize and like feed back into an intentional space and experience of being sacred. And by you doing that as the DJ or sonic curator of the experience of the evening, you are inherently inviting and allowing those who are experiencing that entire journey of space and song to also metabolize that and have their own full spectrum experience of, whoa, is there a part of me that's shutting this out of being able to be sacred, or allowed to have this experience of like really getting down to this, in conjunction with this other thing. So I just love that. That's so permissive giving. And I think that is also why it is so powerful that so many women and conscious individuals who have gone through, a deep awakening call in their own lives are being called to become DJs now, because it's like it is such a powerful space and a combination of elements that allows such a potentially deep transformative journey. And I love that you speak to that, and not only the ecstatic dance floors, but like really how you create that and bring that intention behind every set that you're doing so that that energy exists. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like it's a gateway drug to finding your voice.
Yeah, totally.
You
Totally.
know, it's like, okay, this is, you really start to get to know your own essence. But then for me, it was like, well, now I have to like start producing music
Yep.
because, and even producing, I'm doing a lot of remixes
Mm-hmm.
because I like it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there is a point where we have to start creating into the world too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even, I mean, DJ sets are creations, right? There's this word simulacra, which is it means a remix without a copy without an original. So
Mm.
DJing is like simulacra and
Mm.
remixes are like simulacra. So technically it's a new piece of art, right? But I felt like it's been interesting because I've also been parallelly learning to sing and writing songs and like all of that. And that is so vulnerable
Hmm. Hmm.
still. But I
Hmm.
have a song written that is probably in the near future going to be one of my like pretty early tracks. And I'm really stoked on it. But there's a totally different level of vulnerability. But I
Oh
think
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
yeah, the music path, it like it's initiations, everything's
Hmm.
initiation. So
Yeah.
it's like DJing for me has been like, okay, learn this stuff, get comfortable on stage, get comfortable being seen, but we're not gonna like the powers that be are like, we're not dropping you there. Like, let's keep going. And it's like
Hmm.
there's always some new, when you asked about the feeling ready, there's always some new edge where it's like, I don't feel ready for that.
I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but I love it, you know?
Hmm.
And
Otherwise, it would be
absolutely.
boring.
Exactly.
You would get like, all right, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's beautiful. And I feel like there's a potentially similar trajectory for other people too, who are like, okay, I can start with this and then go to that. And then for others like myself, it's actually been the opposite journey, like singer, songwriter, producer, and then DJ. So, we're all here like blending and mixing our experiences, and we're, also doing the work as women to heal the like, what is it, the competitive model of like there's only space for one of us or something, so underneath all of this other work that we're doing in our own souls and our own selves and like technically and everything, we're also doing the work of like, there is room for all of our voices, and the more that we uplift each other, the more in turn we can feel that upliftment and that, synchronistic just like joy and beauty. And so yeah, it's just such a deep, multifaceted, incredible journey that, we're all
Yeah.
on here.
Can
um
I just comment on that
yeah,
real
yeah,
quick?
yeah, of
Because
course.
I think the only way you worry about competition is if you're not actually in your authentic expression.
Mm,
If you're like, ooh, you've made yourself into a brand, right? Like,
yeah,
I am a house DJ that does this type of music for these type of people, and that's my thing. And then
yeah,
there's another one
yeah.
that fits into that. But if you're actually just, there is no other me. There is no
Mm-hmm.
other you. When
Oof.
you meet me, you will feel a certain resonance. You'll feel a
Mm-hmm.
certain energy field. When I meet you, I feel a certain energy field. There's no
Mm,
overlap. There's other people that are closer or farther away, but there's no overlap. So my
love it.
niche is me, and the only way I can mess that up is by not being myself.
Mm, gems right there. That is gold. You got to
So then it's like
underline that.
everyone's allowed. Cool, let's play together.
Yes. Yes. And it's just so much more fun that way.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's so much more abundant and just like, so yeah. So here's to that. And here's to the steps that it takes to get there. And so, yeah, I really want to close with asking you, like, what are you most excited about right now that you are fully in creation of, whether that be like an event or a tour or an album? You spoke to your voice coming into play. Like, what is that edge that you're currently leaning into that feels like just the most juicy amount of pushing against your artistic evolution and fulfilling you at the same time?
Yeah, wow, there's like layers to that. Definitely, I mean, music production feels really alive right now. I've just been like getting up at like 7 in the morning every day and I just do
Oh,
it first thing and I'm like,
amazing.
that's really fun to see because I really never thought it was one of those things where I was like, I could
Mm-hmm.
never do that,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm doing it and it's opened up my mind to like, whoa, okay, what other things could I do? I'm playing a couple small festivals, one in Washington and then one in California in the next couple months. So that's also cool. And then the other thing is the grief dance is growing,
Mm-hmm.
which the grief dance was a result. I mean, it was baking before, but it's been really shaped by the loss of my brother and also this knowledge that we have ecstatic dances everywhere, which are these beautiful jubilant spaces. And like, where are we holding the space for the darkness, for the heavy things? And there's
Mm-hmm.
so much of that right now
Mm-hmm.
as we collectively navigate this transition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a ritual ecstatic dance, and it goes through the 5 stages of grief, and it's a full ceremonial experience. And we're getting one going in Portland consistently, but I'm also bringing them to different places in the Pacific Northwest. And my dream is really to have every place that there is an ecstatic dance, there's also a grief dance.
Mm.
And it's like the sun and the
Wow.
moon
Mm.
together. And it's part of the collective work that we need to do to clear grief, because grief is anyone who wants to walk this path of like an artist, you have to grieve before you can create.
Mm.
And then creating is part of the grieving, right?
That
But if you're
reminds me.
running from your grief, it's really hard to
Mm.
create. There's your Shakti energy is blocked.
Mm. I was just going to say that reminds me of this quote that I've been seeing a lot on Instagram and just relating to, which is the final stage of healing is to become an artist.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I see that kind of across the board, because it's like, what do we do with destruction? You know, if you think of the dancing Shiva, right? The dance, it's literally dancing, and it's the creator and the destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And like destruction has to beget creation.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to go through the destruction, the grief, the letting go of the past, the seeing your own patterns. And then on the other side of that, you're available for creation. And it's an ongoing process, right? Like there's always more grief that's going to come. And we have to just, and grief also isn't something we're trying to get rid of. It's something we're trying to learn to dance with. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to stop feeling like the idea that we shouldn't feel sad
Right.
is like one of the biggest problems of our society.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the ecstatic dance isn't the only thing that needs to exist. I love ecstatic dance. When I was grieving, I was in ecstatic dance and I was like, I don't feel like I can be held here because I'm not in this frequency of fuck yeah. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem that I see in a lot of our society. You're not in the frequency of fuck yeah, like there's no place for you.
Mm-hmm.
We need places for people to work this out. And when you do it for yourself, you're doing it for your lineage, you're doing it for the collective. And I'll say one more thing about grief and then I'm done. But the deeper you grieve, the deeper you're able to love.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, part of the reason the planet and everything is so messed up is because we're not loving it well, because we're not actually capable of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you clear this, it actually has the potential to shift these. This is what I've been receiving. It's like, this is the first step. This is the key. And so it's like the grief dance has to go as many places as it can
Mm.
so that people can be clearing. Like dance is, when we do dances, we create portals of energy. And oftentimes that energy is not directed and it just kind of dissipates.
Yeah.
But when you direct it to something, it's a really powerful magic. And so, yeah, that's part of my mission right now is getting that out to the world.
I love that. And it's cool because I saw my friend Sophie So Free, who holds ecstatic dances in Bali, doing a grief dance
Mm-hmm.
recently. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is happening. And everyone has something or, multiple things to grieve. Like grieving is a part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Um, and when my brother suddenly died about 5 years ago, I was really honing in on the energy of grief as praise. I think by Martine Prechtel, that whole concept of the more we grieve, that's like us praising their spirit, that's us loving them. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it just opens up that line. So that's beautiful, a beautiful mission. Super in honor of that mission for you and for the collective. And yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing that pop up in as many places as possible.
Yes, and other people, like I want other people to be taking it forward. So, you
Yeah.
know, if people hear this and they're like, I want to bring a grief dance to my town, give me a
Mm-hmm.
ring.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for spending time today, Alexandra. And again, Electric Indigo is her DJ name, so keep your eyes out for her. And we will post her exclusive Moonbabe infused summer DJ mix on our SoundCloud and our Mixcloud, along with this interview. And this is just so exciting. Here's to all the weaving yet to happen and just to a more in touch world through music and art. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day. Bye.